Love isn't easy, but it's a whole lot harder when your significant other treats you like trash. Though Hollywood relationships are notoriously short-lived, some stars seem to be particularly terrible partners. From cyberbullying to physical altercations, there are hundreds of ways to hurt the one you love. And even more if you've got money. Not every celebrity bad boy or girl stays that way, though. Some regretful partners actually do change. Either way, if the reports are true, these celebrities are notoriously inconsiderate partners that you wouldn't want to date. Tom Cruise. Most of us remember Tom Cruise's relationships by their fairy tale moments, like his famous movies alongside Nicole Kidman, or that time he jumped on Oprah's couch to exuberantly proclaim his love for Katie Holmes. What we don't always remember are how those love stories played out. Amidst his growing dedication to Scientology in 2001, Cruise abruptly filed for divorce from Kidman after 10 years of marriage. Though Kidman admitted to People magazine it was a, quote, shock to her system, she did quip to David Letterman,
"Well, I can wear heels now."
His relationship with Katie Holmes, which was long rumored to be a contract marriage, may have been even more controlling. According to The Mirror, Holmes had to follow a long list of bizarre marriage rules, including complete silence during labor. She allegedly wasn't allowed to utter a single peep while delivering Surrey, and according to some reports, she feared for her safety after filing for divorce because of the church. Yikes. Brad Pitt. While Brad Pitt has certainly had some tumultuous relationships, if you ask his ex-wives, he seems to be the problem. In the early 2000s, Pitt's divorce from Jennifer Aniston prompted the press to essentially frame the actress as the world's saddest lady for the rest of her career. What happened? Pitt supposedly had an emotional affair with co-star Angelina Jolie on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. The new lovers claimed they took things to the next level only after his split with Aniston. Before his divorce from Aniston was finalized, Pitt posed for an epic W magazine photo shoot with Jolie. The piece, titled Domestic Bliss, cast the two supposed friends as a sexy husband and wife with kids. In response to the spread, Aniston told Vanity Fair that Pitt has, quote, a sensitivity chip that's missing. As for Brangelina, these two appeared to have it good for nearly a decade. But in 2016, they went through an explosive breakup and nasty custody battle. Pitt told GQ that substance abuse was at the root of the self-inflicted collapse of his relationship with Jolie, saying, "I can't remember a day since I got out of college when I wasn't boozing or had a spliff or something." Still, Pitt may have turned things around since he now reportedly embarked on a cleaner lifestyle. Rob Kardashian. Kardashians generally take the moral high road when it comes to relationships. From Khloe Kardashian supporting her troubled ex-husband during his recovery, to Kris Jenner supporting her ex-husband's transition into womanhood long after their divorce. Rob Kardashian is the exception to the rule, and his relationship with Blac Chyna seemed insanely tumultuous by tabloid accounts.
Why are you yelling, you psycho? What's wrong with you?
Look, 'cause it's aggravating.
There were the explosive fights documented throughout the reality TV show Rob and Chyna.
Are you still texting bitches? Yes or no?
And there was their apparent affinity for airing their grievances on social media. In 2017, after an exhausting year and a half of on and off dating, Chyna took to Snapchat to claim Rob beat her up. According to Us Weekly, she also allegedly sent Rob a video of herself kissing another man in an effort to get him to leave her alone. Rob countered by posting several explicit photos of her online in what appeared to be some sort of deranged and potentially criminal hours-long social media rant. This incident was the final straw for Chyna.
I would like to first and foremost thank the judge for granting me this restraining order.
Her lawyer had this to say in a statement. Mr. Kardashian, you are now on notice. Cyberbullying your ex is harassment. Your attempts to shame and control Chyna are hereby rejected. Emma Roberts. Actress Emma Roberts may seem like an innocent girl next door, but rumor has it the actress may have physically harmed her boyfriend, actor Evan Peters. The couple reportedly met while filming Adult World, and for the first year or so of their relationship, they were the poster children for millennial power couples. Then came 2013, when according to TMZ, Roberts was arrested for allegedly assaulting Peters in Canada. Though Peters reportedly suffered a bloody nose and bite marks, he didn't press charges, and Roberts was released. As of May 2018, these two are still engaged, so let's hope their worst moments are behind them. Chris Brown. In 2008, it seemed like Chris Brown and Rihanna were hip-hop's it couple. The pair met as teenagers at the Vibe Awards, and over the next few years, they grew from collaborators to best friends to totally in love. Unfortunately, not all was as rosy as it seemed from the red carpet. In 2009, TMZ reported that Rihanna had been beaten by Brown after a pre-Grammy party. Not long after, Brown pleaded guilty to felony assault. As Billboard reported, he was sentenced to 5 years probation and 6 months community labor. Brown later admitted that he, quote, felt like a monster after the incident with Rihanna. He eventually found love again with model Karrueche Tran. Unfortunately, old patterns appeared to resurface. According to E! News, Tran alleged Brown punched her in the stomach, pushed her down the stairs, and threatened her life on numerous occasions. Tran was granted a permanent restraining order after sharing angry voicemails of Brown threatening her.
The Kardashians are often described as sweet by people who know them, but like everything else with the Kardashians, you have to wonder just how real that is. After all, there are several other famous people that the Kardashians have been less than sweet with over the years. Here's a look at some of the people the Kardashians treated like trash. Lamar Odom. The Kardashian family adored Lamar Odom when he and Khloe were together and happy after their whirlwind courtship in 2006. After they split in December 2013, however, things got ugly. While Odom was certainly no saint, confessing to using drugs and cheating on Khloe during their marriage, some insiders say the family deliberately exploited the troubled former NBA star for their own fame and reality TV ratings. In August 2015, Odom was reportedly set up by Khloe for some orchestrated tabloid drama in order to generate content for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And when he overdosed at a brothel 2 months later, his recovery was filmed for the show as well. That's really not cool. Reggie Bush. Kim Kardashian dated NFL star Reggie Bush off and on from 2007 to 2010, and the relationship wasn't exactly a smooth one. Amber Rose revealed to Star, Kim is one of the main reasons why me and Kanye West are not together. She's a homewrecker. Kim and West were both cheating on me and Reggie with each other. She was sending pictures, and I was like, Kim, just stop. Don't be that person. Kim also aired her and Bush's dirty laundry on Keeping Up with the Kardashians after she and Bush split for good, filming an emotional phone call from the running back about her fling with fellow football player Miles Austin. Stay classy, Kim. Amber Rose. Wrecking Amber Rose's proverbial home with Kanye West was only the beginning of the Kardashians' poor treatment of the bald beauty. In February 2015, Rose made a remark about 17-year-old Kylie Jenner's reported relationship with rapper Tyga, who was 8 years her senior. Khloe responded on Twitter by referencing Rose's past as a stripper at 15 years old. Rose clapped back referencing Kim's sex tape, using a whole lot of words we're not going to repeat. Kris Humphries. Kim and NBA star Kris Humphries were married for just 72 days before she filed for divorce in 2011. When Humphries attempted to get an annulment on the base of fraud instead of a divorce, his aunt told The Sun that the Kardashians duped the NBA star. Unfortunately for Humphries, he couldn't get an annulment, despite his claims that the marriage was just a ploy for ratings, and he walked away from the divorce with nothing. After the divorce led to bad press for Kim, though, the family went on the offensive, reportedly using creative editing and stage footage so they could make themselves look like the victims.
We have an amazing fan base that watched the show. We don't do anything for ratings.
A source told Radar Online, Kim will be portrayed as the victim and Humphries will definitely be the bad guy. Kim will be using the show to attempt to rehab her image. Since the split, Khloe has publicly called Humphries a loser, while Kourtney said on TV that he wasn't famous enough for the family to use him for publicity.
But I think if she was gonna do it for publicity, she'd pick someone that people knew.
Caitlyn Jenner. Former Olympian Caitlyn Jenner has seen the Kardashian clan from the inside, and she doesn't like what she's seen from ex-wife Kris Jenner and the kids since they became famous. In 2015, Caitlyn told Vanity Fair that their relationship changed as soon as Kris got rich from Keeping Up with the Kardashians. When that hit and she was running this whole show and getting credit for it, and she had her own money, she didn't need me as much from that standpoint. The relationship was different. I think in a lot of ways she became less tolerant of me. A lot of times she wasn't very nice. People would see how I got mistreated. She controlled the money, all that kind of stuff. Needless to say, Kris doesn't see it that way.
Everything she says is all made up. Why does everything have to be that Kris is such a bitch and an ass?
Since then, Caitlyn has been almost entirely cut out of the lives of the girl she raised as her own daughters, revealing in 2017 that neither Kim nor Khloe speak to her, except when they need more TV ratings. Scott Disick. Perhaps nobody has been as publicly used and abused as Kourtney's on-again, off-again ex Scott Disick. Their relationship issues and his problems with addiction have been two of the driving sources of drama on the TV show for years. Disick, who reportedly has struggled with alcoholism since the breakup, is on record saying that he believes that the Kardashians go out of their way to make him appear as a villain on the show. The Beliebers. You know, something's gone wrong when Justin Bieber is considered a victim, but it's true. According to Bieber himself, the singer believes he was used by Kourtney as part of a scheme by the Kardashians to generate media attention and to make Scott Disick jealous. That's especially gross considering he reportedly already had a fling with Kourtney's sister Kendall in 2014. Kendall was supposedly a friend of Bieber's girlfriend Selena Gomez, which is just one reason Gomez was surprised to walk in on Kendall and Bieber in bed together. Add in the fact that Kendall's other BFF, Hailey Baldwin, also supposedly had a fling with Bieber at the same time, and you have a situation that's not only really confusing, but also too icky to think about. Let's move on to Rita Ora and Blac Chyna. Rob Kardashian trashed ex Rita Ora so badly that his put-downs became a trending topic on Twitter. In a since-deleted tweet, Rob, who was rumored to be dating Ora at the time, said of an unnamed girlfriend, "How can a woman who is so busy starting her own career have time to be with so many dudes all while in a relationship? She cheated on me with nearly 20 dudes while we were together. I wonder how many she will sleep with now that we are apart." But I mean 20? Rob has also publicly dissed on-again, off-again girlfriend Blac Chyna more than once. Unsurprisingly, the whole family got in on the act when they leaked news of Blac Chyna's pregnancy to the press before she even had a chance to tell her own family. Hey, once you're on the media hamster wheel, there's no way off it. Kanye West. Kanye West elevated the Kardashian brand when he married Kim, and they repaid him by exploiting his November 2016 breakdown for ratings.
I get a call from one of Kanye's friends and my heart drops. But what is he like? This is like serious.
And in May 2017, amid rumors that Kim and West's marriage was in trouble, In Touch Weekly reported that the family plans on exploiting their marital discord for ratings. Producers are pressuring Kim to discuss her marriage problems on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. They've had an unbelievable 9-year run. The problem is the show is overplayed. How many times can Scott Disick go to rehab? Or maybe they just need to finally go away.
Which Batman villain was a nightmare to work with on set? And who punched John Leguizamo on the first day of rehearsal? Keep watching to learn which actors have been rude, offensive, or downright abusive to their co-stars. Glee was intended to be a wholesome show, with Lea Michele feeling right at home in the role of the naive girl next door. Who would have expected then that the actor behind the lovable Rachel Berry would eventually become infamous for tormenting her co-stars? Numerous Glee veterans have called out Michele for highly problematic on-set behavior in the years since the show went off the air. It all began when season 6 Glee star Samantha Marie Ware replied to Michelle's tweet showing support for Black Lives Matter with a since-deleted comment saying, "Remember when you made my first television gig a living hell? I believe you told everyone that if you had the opportunity, you would in my wig," amongst other traumatic microaggressions that made me question a career in Hollywood. Michelle apologized publicly on Instagram, but the potentially career-ending revelations didn't end there. Glee co-star Heather Morris tweeted that Michelle was disrespectful and, quote, unpleasant to work with. Debier Snell, who briefly appeared in the Glee episode New Directions, was a little less polite, saying, "Girl, you wouldn't let me sit at the table with the other cast members because I didn't belong there. You, Leah." Unfortunately, Michelle's mistreatment of co-stars wasn't confined to the Glee set, or television in general. Gerard Canonico, who starred alongside Michelle in Spring Awakening on Broadway, called her out for constantly playing the victim when addressing bullying claims. Commenting under Michelle's apology post, Canonico wrote, "You are nothing but a nightmare to me and fellow understudy cast members." It's not a secret that Daniel Day-Lewis is an extreme method actor, but his co-stars often suffer as a consequence. Day-Lewis clashed with Liam Neeson on the set of Gangs of New York, with the Irish star repeatedly branding his method acting madness. Speaking with reporters after the Taken premiere, Neeson admitted that he was irritated by Day-Lewis' insistence that everyone refer to him by his character's name, even when they met up at the gym during out-of-work hours. Neeson said of his technique, "Actors such as Daniel Day-Lewis are often held up as this is the way to act, but I don't go to bed dreaming and sleeping the character." Likewise, although Day-Lewis Phantom Thread co-star Vicky Krieps enjoyed making the film, she said the 3-time Best Actor winner basically lived as his cold, cruel protagonist throughout production, and treated his on-screen lover accordingly. As was noted in The Guardian, preparing his role as Reynolds Woodcock, a London couturier, Day-Lewis, with his habitual method actor zeal, learned to think like Balenciaga, sewed 100 buttonholes, and kept Krieps at bay. Krieps explained that she didn't actually meet Day-Lewis until their first scene together, stating, "I think this is what he, Day-Lewis, intended. I thought, if that is the rule of the game, I'll play it. I spent a whole day staring into greenery to avoid him."
I'm not playing a game?
Yes,
What game am I playing? What game? What precisely is the nature of my game? You tell me.
Think there's madness to his method? Be prepared. Day-Lewis will drink his detractor's milkshake. Bill Murray may be a hero to many, but beneath his lovable deadpan persona lies a dark side. There's been a long-standing rumor that Murray treated Lucy Liu appallingly on the set of Charlie's Angels. In a 2009 interview with The Times, the actor pretty much confirmed that he was a jerk on set, but appeared to place the blame squarely on Liu, a common tactic used by abusive men. Murray said, "Look, I will dismiss you completely if you are unprofessional and working with me." Giving her side of the story to the Los Angeles Times, Liu confirmed that Murray did not treat her kindly. She elaborated, "As we're doing the scene, Bill starts to sort of hurl insults, and I won't get into the specifics, but it kept going on and on. Some of the language was inexcusable and unacceptable, and I was not going to just sit there and take it. So yes, I stood up for myself and I don't regret it." On the Drew Barrymore show, the host confirmed that while Murray was unkind to all his Charlie's Angels co-stars, he zeroed in on Liu. The other Angels weren't happy with this though. Barrymore remembered, "We all supported her and backed her up." Despite his marriage to feminist actor Annette Bening, actor and director Warren Beatty has a lengthy history of alleged harassment towards female co-stars. This harassment reportedly occurred on the sets of two of his most famous films, Dick Tracy and Reds. Blade Runner star Sean Young, whose acting career began to falter in the late 1980s, credits Beatty with effectively blacklisting her from Hollywood after she spurned his advances during production on Dick Tracy. Young told the Daily Beast that she was fired from the production for refusing to sleep with Beatty, saying, "It's not just Warren, it's across the board. Ever since the movie business began, women have been treated as a commodity. There was always someone grabbing you, and I just ignored it." Additionally, British actor Miriam Margolyes, who is openly gay, has claimed that Beatty made crude remarks about her sexuality during her audition for Reds. During an interview with ITV, Margolyes recalled her creepy encounter with the film's star and director in his trailer, saying, "I opened the door, he looked me up, and said, 'Do you f***?' To which Margolyes responded, 'Yes, but not you.'" There's a reason why Chevy Chase has become such a controversial figure in recent years. The Saturday Night Live veteran has a long history of treating co-stars appallingly. When Terry Sweeney became the first openly gay cast member on SNL, he found himself the subject of homophobic abuse whenever Chase happened to be hosting the show. According to the book, Live from New York, Chase suggested that Sweeney should be weighed on a weekly basis to ascertain whether he had AIDS, leading to the comedian being reprimanded. Sweeney remembered, "He was really furious that he had to apologize to me." Chase was reportedly banned from returning to the show after hitting cast member Sherry O'Terry on the back of the head, although SNL showrunner Lorne Michaels has denied these claims. While playing the role of Pierce Hawthorne in Community years later, Chase allegedly racially abused Donald Glover, telling him on one occasion, "People think you're funnier because you're black."
Is that a new stereotype?
The show's creator, Dan Harmon, corroborated these claims, explaining to The New Yorker, "Chevy was the first to realize how immensely gifted Donald was, and the way he expressed his jealousy was to try to throw Donald off. I remember apologizing to Donald after a particularly rough night of Chevy's non-PC verbiage." Responding to these claims, Chase remained evasive, simply saying that he was, quote, "saddened to hear that Donald perceived me in that light." Leonard Roberts claims that his on-screen wife, Ali Larter, subjected him to racism behind the scenes of Heroes, setting off a chain of events that ended with his character being killed off in season 2. Roberts wrote in Variety, "D.L. Hawkins was in an interracial marriage with Nicki Sanders, a white woman played by Ali Larter. The script suggested D.L. and Nicki had a volatile relationship, and it wasn't long before art was imitating life, with me on the receiving end of pushback from my co-star. Despite Larter being the instigator, Roberts attempted to assuage the rift by gifting her a bottle of wine and a heartfelt note, but she refused to acknowledge the gesture of goodwill. On another occasion, Larter refused to shoot an intimate scene with Roberts, despite being happy to film a sex scene with white actor Adrian Pasdar on a later occasion. In a damning revelation, he claimed that Larder attempted to stop him from ever divulging what had happened. Variety notes that Roberts' claims were verified by 10 people who worked on the show. Larder responded to the accusations in a statement to TV Line, saying, "I am truly sorry for any role I may have played in his painful experience during that time, and I wish him and his family the very best." There has long been an aura of mystique surrounding Marlon Brando, who is widely regarded as one of the greatest icons of Hollywood's golden age. However, despite his numerous progressive stances, most notably his support of Native Americans and the civil rights movement, many of the actor's actions were inharmonious with his compassionate views. The controversial film Last Tango in Paris contains an infamous rape scene, one that Brando and director Bernardo Bertolucci refused to tell actress Maria Schneider about beforehand. In a resurfaced interview, Bertolucci admitted, "I wanted her to react humiliated. I think she hated me and also Marlon because we didn't tell her." Schneider found the experience to be humiliating indeed, saying, "So I did the scene and I cried. I cried real tears during that scene. I was feeling humiliation." In a separate incident, Brando yelled at Dennis Hopper on the set of Apocalypse Now over a minor misunderstanding and proceeded to have an overblown tantrum. Hopper remembered, he gets up and says, "I don't have to listen to this. I don't have to take this." And he is screaming and yelling, "Why do I have to hear it from him? I have to hear it from this punk." In Batman Forever, Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones played the iconic villains Riddler and Two-Face, who team up to take on the Caped Crusader. Behind the scenes, however, it appeared that Jones may have lived up to his character's two-faced nature a little too much. Director Joel Schumacher has claimed that Jones acted like a bully towards Carrey on the set of the heavily panned 90s flick. In a 2019 interview with Vulture, the late filmmaker said, "He wasn't kind to Jim. He did not act towards Jim the way an Oscar winner with a star on Hollywood Boulevard, being the oldest member of the cast and having such a distinguished career and the accolades to go with it, should have acted towards Jim." During an appearance on Norm Macdonald Live, Carrey addressed the hostile working environment, confessing, "Tommy Lee Jones said to me that he couldn't sanction my performance. I was the star. That was the problem." Despite Carrey's best efforts, Jones would not be swayed. The comic continued, "I went over and I said, 'Hey Tommy, how you doing?' And the blood just drained from his face like he had been thinking about me for 24 hours a day. He said, 'I cannot sanction your buffoonery.' Holy mackerel, it seems like Jones and Carrey just have incompatible philosophies when it comes to acting."
The difference? Showmanship.
Despite his beloved, sensitive performance in films like The Graduate and Rain Man, tales of Dustin Hoffman's horrifying mistreatment of co-stars started to arise in 2017, casting significant doubt on the actor's previously clean-cut public image. Catherine Rossiter, who acted alongside Hoffman on the Broadway revival of Death of a Salesman, alleged that Hoffman was a total creep, both in and out of character. In a piece for The Hollywood Reporter, Rossiter wrote that Hoffman suggested that they go over their lines in a hotel room and pressured her into giving him a back rub. She wrote, "That was the beginning of what was to become a horrific, demoralizing, and abusive experience at the hands, literally, of one of my acting idols." The abuse took its toll on Rossiter, who continued, "Night after night, I went home and cried. I withdrew and got depressed and did not have any good interpersonal relationships with the cast. How could the same man who fought to get me the job, who complimented my work, who essentially launched my career, how could he also be this sexual power abuser?" Additionally, Slate unearthed a Time article from 1979 in which Meryl Streep recalled her first encounter with Hoffman, which was also during theater work. Streep recalled, "He came up to me and said, 'I'm Dustin Burp Hoffman,' and he put his hand on my breast. What an obnoxious pig," I thought. He may have been a Hollywood legend, but Kirk Douglas had an infamous mean side. Plenty of actors from Hollywood's golden age have shared horror stories of their time on set with the Spartacus star. If you were acting alongside Douglas, you had to watch out. During the filming of The Heroes of Telemark, Douglas appeared to take an immediate dislike to Richard Harris, which actor David Weston attributed to the aging Douglas being jealous of Harris' youth. Weston told The Telegraph that the first words he heard Douglas say to Harris on set were, "Are you going to be as big a as they say you are, Douglas later grew even more bitter when he noticed that Harris was driving a swanky car and threatened to delay production until he too was given a luxury vehicle. Similarly, Douglas mistreated Doris Day on the set of 1950's Young Man with a Horn, the filming of which Day described as, quote, an utterly joyless experience. He was also cruel to Farrah Fawcett during the filming of the heavily panned sci-fi flick Saturn III. According to The Times, Douglas referred to Fawcett as Mrs. Majors, which upset her, considering she was in the midst of a divorce from actor Lee Majors. Of course, none of this is as monstrous as the accusation leveled by Lana Wood, who alleges that Douglas sexually assaulted her sister Natalie during production on The Searchers in 1955. In his heyday, Rex Harrison was an acclaimed actor, immortalized through his iconic depiction of grammar snob Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, both on Broadway and on the silver screen. Unfortunately, despite the lovable nature of his most iconic performance, Harrison apparently treated numerous co-stars like absolute trash. During the Broadway run of My Fair Lady, Harrison reportedly developed an intense hatred for Julie Andrews, who played Cockney flower girl Eliza Doolittle, remarking, "If that is still here on Monday, I'm quitting the show." Andrews addressed Harrison's difficult behavior in her memoir, Home, writing, "I don't remember who said this, but someone made a cogent remark. No matter how big a Rex was, the truth is he cut the mustard, and for that, one forgave him everything." When My Fair Lady was adapted into the classic 1964 film, Harrison was cast alongside Audrey Hepburn, to whom he took an immediate dislike to as well. He branded Hepburn Bloody Audrey and argued that she was the wrong choice for the part. In his memoirs, Roger Moore said of the grumpy actor, Rex Harrison could be a rather mean-spirited man, and he wasn't regarded very warmly by those who knew him. On the set of Executive Decision, Steven Seagal acted like a total jerk. According to John Leguizamo, Seagal had hefty delusions of grandeur and attempted to dominate his fellow actors. Leguizamo and the other experienced actors on set were hoping to maintain a professional atmosphere, but Seagal had other ideas.
He comes in, "I'm in command. What I say is law. You disagree?" And I started cracking. I was like,
Unfortunately, Seagal didn't take Leguizamo's insubordination lightly.
And he Aikido'd me against the brick wall. Pow! Knocked all the air out of me. I was like, what? What?
In a different interview, actor Stephen Tobolowsky said that working with Seagal on The Glimmer Man was a traumatic experience. Tobolowsky told AV Club, "Director John Gray came in and told me in a panic that Steven Seagal wanted to rewrite the script. He decided it was bad for his karma to constantly be killing people in movies, so he didn't want to kill me anymore." Seagal eventually relented, only to end up ad-libbing a line that implied Tobolowsky's character hadn't died at all. Actor and stand-up comic David Cross is known for being quite vocal about his left-wing views, so it was a major shock when stories of Cross hurling horrendous abuse at Charlene Yee surfaced in 2017. Cross and Yee both lent their voices to the light-hearted kids film Next Gen, but the casting seemed to dredge up some negative memories behind the scenes. In a series of now-deleted tweets, Yee claimed that Cross made racist remarks when the two were introduced to each other by their mutual friend, Michael Cera, around 2007. Yee wrote, "It is very uncool that a 40-plus man was being racist toward me." According to Yee, Cross made various offensive jibes and even questioned whether they could speak English. Responding to the accusations, Cross claimed that he couldn't remember any of these racist statements, but didn't deny them either, elaborating, "I would never intentionally hurt someone like that. I do not remember doing this when I met them. I am not accusing Charlene Yee of lying, and I'm truly sorry." In a lengthy response, Cross later backtracked on his inability to recollect the encounter. He admitted that he racially abused Yee and offended his Arrested Development co-star, Sarah. While Cross apologized for upsetting Yee and Sarah, he dubiously claimed that he was in character as a, quote, redneck racist. Just as British actor Noel Clarke was flying high due to the popularity of his TV show Viewpoint, the show was pulled right before its final episode, in the wake of some alarming revelations. As reported by The Guardian, 20 women have accused Clarke of sexual harassment, unwanted touching or groping, sexually inappropriate behavior and comments on set, professional misconduct, taking and sharing sexually explicit pictures and videos without consent, and bullying. Jing Lucy starred alongside Clark in the film SAS Red Notice and alleged that he propositioned her for sex, telling his co-star that he, quote, couldn't help it. When Lucy rejected Clark's advances, she said he exhibited a terrifying dark side and threatened her. Lucy recalled Clark telling her, "All right, fine, don't tell anyone about this, yeah? Because if you do, it will get back to me. I will find out." In addition to the many female co-stars who accused Clark of sexual misconduct, Adam Deacon, who starred alongside the disgraced actor in adulthood, called out his former co-star on Twitter, going as far as to call him sociopathic. Deacon claimed that Clark, quote, continually sabotaged his career, writing, "I only wish that everyone had taken more notice of my words. His horrific abuse of power could have been stopped before it affected so many others. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673.
Celebrities wouldn't look and sound nearly as good if it wasn't for the crew members that make show business possible. Unfortunately, this hasn't stopped stars from kicking, burning, or even headbutting their support staff. Here are a few stars who didn't treat their crew members with the respect they deserved. Behind that toothy grin, Tom Cruise has an intensity matched by few of his peers. It's hard to forget his sofa-jumping antics on The Oprah Winfrey Show, or his passionate speeches in defense of Scientology over the years. In 2020, the crew on Mission Impossible 7 was treated to the spectacle of the A-lister flying into a frenzy once again. To be fair, Cruise was trying to make a valid point. The star had become increasingly annoyed at crew members who were failing to stick to social distancing rules in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. Unfortunately, his message got lost in a foul-mouthed rant that gave his Tropic Thunder character Les Grossman a run for his money. To make matters worse, the whole thing was captured on tape. In an audio recording that managed to find its way to The Sun, Cruise can be heard giving the crew their own mission, with no choice but to accept it. He yelled, in part, "We are the gold standard. They're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us, because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every studio at night, insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you motherfuckers. I don't ever want to see it again. Ever." The mother of all on-set meltdowns occurred during production on Terminator Salvation, when a director of photography had the sheer audacity to briefly step in front of Christian Bale's line of sight. Some critics would argue the Welshman's subsequent rant was more entertaining than anything in the 2009 Schwarzenegger-less sequel, but the man on the receiving end, Shane Hurlbut, was unlikely to have seen things that way. As the millions who have listened to the recording obtained by TMZ already know, Bale demanded that Hurlbut immediately leave the set before unleashing a volley of foul-mouthed abuse, screaming, "Am I gonna walk around and rip your fucking lights down in the middle of the scene? Then why the fuck are you walking right through? Ah-da-da-da-da, like this in the background. What the fuck is it with you? What don't you fucking understand?" Bale later apologized for his outburst, claiming that, contrary to what listeners of the recording might think, he doesn't see himself as superior to anyone else. Bale called into Los Angeles radio station KROQ to say, "Nothing could be farther from the truth. I am a lucky man. I never forget that, and that is why I put so much into what I do, and why I care so much about it, and why sometimes that enthusiasm just goes awry." In 2020, fans of the CW's Arrowverse shows were shocked at the news that Ruby Rose, the titular star of Batwoman, would not be returning for a second season. Exactly what happened remains disputed. Rose claimed that a toxic work environment left her with no option but to walk away. But according to various co-stars and crew members, it was Rose that was actually responsible for all the toxicity. Alexander J. Baxter, a production assistant on the show, claimed that Rose's allegations were off the mark, telling CBR, "The production company was professional, dialed in, and in every way fantastic." Baxter was less complimentary, though, about the leading lady. Then came Ruby Rose. She stormed off set, she yelled at people, and whenever she interacted with any of us production assistants, we were disregarded as the trash we picked up. She was a dictator to work for, and having been nothing but a production assistant eager to get into the industry, she made me consider quitting. Baxter concluded by describing the inaugural Batwoman season as a, quote, reign of cruelty. He wasn't the only name to speak up against Rose either. Her co-star Cameras Johnson, aka Luke Fox, tweeted, "It is very hard to be fired when you're the lead. Imagine what you have to do for that to happen." Perhaps we can cut Julia Roberts some slack for allegedly acting so monstrously on the set of Hook. After all, she went straight into the shoot of Steven Spielberg's adaptation of Peter Pan immediately after breaking up with Kiefer Sutherland, just 2 days before they were due to tie the knot. Still, many behind the scenes on the 1991 adventure film weren't in such a forgiving mood at the time. Indeed, some members of the crew gave Roberts the nickname Tinker Hell due to her bad behavior during the shoot. Even the usually diplomatic Spielberg appeared to acknowledge that there was some bad blood on set during an interview for 60 Minutes.
It was an unfortunate time for us to work together. But I think that Julie is a really, really good actress.
However, when asked if he would work with her again, the director was evasive.
Would you have any hesitation about working with her again?
This is a 60 Minutes question, isn't it?
Roberts herself claimed she wasn't aware of her unfortunate nickname during the shoot, but believed it was entirely unjustified. She told Entertainment Weekly, "I'm a normal person. I mean, if I sit in my trailer for 6 hours doing nothing, I'm going to say, what the f*** is going on?" In the same year that he was accused of domestic abuse against his ex-wife Amber Heard by The Sun, Johnny Depp was also said to have acted violently toward a location manager on the set of the crime drama City of Lies. The one-time heartthrob's public image took yet another hit in 2018 when allegations emerged that he tried to punch the unnamed crew member before offering him $100,000 to fight back. An anonymous insider told Page Six that the trouble began when Depp took over directorial duties from Brad Furman for one particular scene, which ended up running way over schedule. After being told he needed to wrap things up, the Hollywood star, who was reportedly inebriated at the time, responded by squaring up and shouting, "Who are you? You have no right." After the location manager replied that he was simply doing his job, Depp apparently tried to punch him in the chest before others pulled him away. Furman later insisted the incident had been blown all out of proportion, but considering that Depp was also then at the center of lawsuits involving his ex-security guards and one-time management team, the rumors didn't exactly seem too outlandish for reality. Rumors had swirled for years that Ellen DeGeneres wasn't the type of kindly fairy godmother she portrayed herself to be when the cameras stopped rolling. But it wasn't until 2020 that the comedian was forced to respond to such allegations publicly. DeGeneres issued a full apology after BuzzFeed published 2 damaging reports about the toxic atmosphere behind the scenes of her hit daytime talk show. Although she wasn't involved directly in these particular accusations of, quote, racism, fear, and intimidation, she was still accused of being complicit for allowing such a culture to develop at her workplace. However, DeGeneres was mentioned by name in a Twitter thread full of horror stories, many of which were told by her former employees, that went viral earlier in the year. The multiple Emmy winner allegedly doesn't allow staff members to look her in the eye, often takes credit for others' work, and has a history of ableism. The thread racked up dozens of different tales from those who had experienced the other side of Mrs. Nice Guy. The ridiculously temperamental David O. Russell has become just as renowned for his outbursts at various Hollywood stars as he has for his award-winning films. There's the famous clip in which he berated and threw things at Lily Tomlin on the set of I Heart Huckabees. He regularly made Amy Adams cry with his demands during the filming of American Hustle. George Clooney even claims that he was headbutted by the short-fused director while shooting the Gulf War drama Three Kings. Russell doesn't just go after his stars, however. The Hollywood hothead has also been accused of treating plenty of behind-the-scenes staff like disposable tools. While recalling his own experiences in Three Kings, Clooney told Playboy that the filmmaker shoved an extra, reduced a script supervisor to tears, and left a camera car driver red in the face. Clooney wasn't having it though. "I told him, you can yell and scream and even fire him, but what you can't do is humiliate him in front of people. Not on my set if I have any say about it." It's always disappointing when a star who's brought so much joy to our screens, see everything from Wayne's World to Shrek to Austin Powers, turns out to be a bit of a jerk in real life. But yes, Mike Myers has been outed as a colleague from hell by multiple sources over the years. In an interview with the AV Club, Myers' Cat in the Hat co-star Amy Hill described her time working with the Canadian actor on the 2003 Dr. Seuss adaptation as, quote, horrible and nightmarish. Probably even more nightmarish than the movie itself. The director of the 1993 dark comedy So I Married an Axe Murderer, Thomas Schlamme, has also spoken of Myers' difficult personality to the Los Angeles Times, and according to Page Six, staffers at Late Night with Conan O'Brien will likely be in agreement.
And he's just so awful. This guy is just so mean and vile and just a horrible, horrible dude.
During a 2008 appearance on the NBC talk show to publicize his box office flop, The Love Guru, Myers made multiple specific requests for pre-show refreshments, ranging from Twizzlers to Silk non-dairy creamer to raspberry seltzer. When the drink he was provided wasn't his brand of choice, the former SNL star apparently threw a tantrum. A whole host of Glee actors, including Samantha Ware, Amber Riley, and Heather Morris, confirmed in 2020 that Lea Michele was far from a positive force during the show's 6-season run. The star was effectively canceled by her former colleagues, amid numerous accusations of racist microaggressions, workplace bullying, and just general all-around terrible behavior. Michelle didn't just target those she swapped lines with, though. Several other cast and crew members came forward during the pile-on. One background actor even claimed that the singer would regularly tell those behind the scenes how to do their jobs, and that she once held up a shoot for more than an hour by throwing a tantrum. Michelle later issued an apology on Instagram for her previous conduct, but seemed more concerned with using the opportunity as a teachable moment than offering genuine remorse, adding, "We all can grow and change, and I have definitely used these past several months to reflect my own shortcomings." Nia Long's behavior toward the crew of the hit musical drama Empire was apparently so ill-mannered that an official complaint was lodged against her. The actor, who played Juliana "Juicy" Green during season 3, was said to have been particularly unprofessional when dealing with the hair and makeup team. An anonymous insider told TMZ she was extremely disrespectful, at times deciding she didn't like her look at the last minute and then chewing them out. According to reports, Long was called out for her attitude to those behind the scenes by co-star Taraji P. Henson, sparking a feud that became so intense, producers started thinking about shooting their joint scenes separately. The troublemaking actor allegedly had problems showing up to the set on time, and even threatened to file a lawsuit after the assistant director failed to give her the send-off she felt she contractually deserved. Unsurprisingly, Long denied all knowledge of such conduct and the complaint lodged against her, with a representative for the actor issuing a statement claiming, "Nia has always and continues to be a consummate professional on set." Vin Diesel is always talking about how the Fast and Furious franchise is steeped in the concept of family. However, his equally big-necked co-star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson brought such claims into question in 2016 when he made a since-deleted Instagram post about his fellow cast members, which read, "Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't. The ones that don't are too chicken to do anything about it anyway." The former WWE star later admitted that he shouldn't have gone public with his unfiltered thoughts, which were shared in the wake of rumors that he and Diesel had to be separated during press commitments for the fate of the Furious. However, Johnson told Vanity Fair that he still stands by his opinions, and that he received a lot of support for speaking out about his long-running castmate. The actor said, "It caused a firestorm, yet, interestingly enough, it was as if every single crew member found their way to me and either quietly thanked me or sent me a note." It's not clear what Diesel did to make those behind the scenes firmly Team Rock, but with the pair seemingly unable to patch up their differences, expect plenty more tidbits about his on-set behavior to emerge in the future. Thomas Gibson appears to have been something of a Jekyll and Hyde character during his turbulent stint on Criminal Minds. After the actor, who played supervisory special agent Aaron Hotchner, was finally fired in 2016, several unnamed staffers told Variety that they'd always viewed him as an amiable family man. However, another staffer saw things very differently, commenting, "It's like a dark cloud has been lifted off that show. You never knew which Thomas Gibson was going to show up." Assistant director Ian Wolfe and writer-producer Virgil Williams were just two figures behind the scenes who found themselves on the receiving end of Gibson's darker side. In 2010, Wolfe was shoved by the star following a dispute over safety concerns. 6 years later, Williams was reportedly kicked by Gibson while filming an episode that the actor was also directing. The kick was the final straw that led to his firing. Gibson had previously been given a warning after being charged with a DUI. Crew members, who no doubt believed he should have been gone long before then, were also said to be peeved at Gibson's demands. The actor insisted the filming schedule should revolve around his traveling from the show's Los Angeles studios to his San Antonio home.
What late-night host let fame get to their head? Which comics can't seem to take criticism? Keep watching to find out which comics can't seem to take the heat sometimes. Dave Chappelle is a living comedic legend. From landing a role in Mel Brooks' 1993 comedy Robin Hood Men in Tights to starring in his own TV sitcom The Chappelle Show, no stone has been left unturned for the DC native. His one-liners and characters have transcended the bounds of comedy into the fabric of pop culture as we know it. But when it comes to his fans, Dave doesn't seem to consider their feelings. He's known in recent years for his stance on transgender rights. In his 2017 Netflix special, The Age of Spin, Chappelle says,
"Transgender people beating black people in the discrimination Olympics."
And when Chappelle released his comedy special, Equanimity, he included a Caitlyn Jenner bit that ends with him referring to her and saying, yuck. In his 2019 special, Sticks and Stones, he shows blatant disregard for gender sensitivity, joking about greeting members of the LGBTQ community in a car by saying, "Oh yes, hi, whatever pronoun you're comfortable with." The tune is consistent with Dave, who defended his comments on his 2021 comedy special, The Closer. Ellen DeGeneres is a champion for both women and LGBTQ rights. Her tenure on The Ellen DeGeneres Show has provided nearly 2 decades of heartfelt daytime television. Her show also became famous for cheer and good spirit, as she'd always open with a dance routine. At one point, DeGeneres ranked #1 on NBC News' State of Kindness poll in 2015. But according to Insider, the seemingly upbeat DeGeneres is actually not nice at all. It began with comedian Kevin T. Porter tweeting that he would make $2 donations to the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank for stories of Ellen being rude. And the tweet brought in nearly 2,000 responses. The accounts included a waitress who was almost fired after DeGeneres wrote a letter complaining about her chipped nail polish, plus a TV writer who attests Ellen has a sensitive nose, and that if she thinks you smell that day, you have to go home and shower.
Who's shampooing for the first time, anybody?
And Ellen's behavior spans beyond her coworkers and fans and onto her peers. According to Kathy Griffin's sold-out show at the Dolby Theater back in 2018, the Finding Nemo star not only had a feud with Griffin, but with the late, great Joan Rivers. According to Variety, Griffin said, "One of the things that really hurt Joan, and we talked about it at our last meal together, was that Ellen always shunned her, and Ellen thought she was vulgar and not funny." Known best for his unique sense of humor and carpool karaoke, James Corden has managed to accrue quite the reputation for his brashness. That's surprising for someone who seems so cheerful. In a revelation to The New Yorker, the Late Late Show host admitted needing therapy after becoming intoxicated by fame, stating that his close friends and family even began to become annoyed with his spoiled behavior. Following the success of Gavin and Stacey in 2007, Corden stated, "I started to behave like a brat that I just don't think I am. It's so intoxicating, that first flush of fame, and I think it's even more intoxicating if you're not bred for it." It had gotten so bad that his co-star on the breakout show, Rob Brydon, admitted much of the same. Brydon reportedly said to Corden, "I said, look, this is a bit awkward to say, but I'm just hearing these things about you, and you've got to know that the way you behave has an effect on people." In 2021, Corden went viral on Twitter after calling members of K-pop group BTS unusual visitors to the United Nations General Assembly and characterizing the group's fans as 15-year-old girls. Many know about Kevin Hart's past homophobic tweets that ultimately cost him his Oscars hosting gig. He eventually apologized, but it was a long, very publicized process. But did you know Kevin Hart is also good for a quick clapback? Just check the Cold as Balls host's response after one Twitter user tweeted, "Kevin Hart's not funny enough for the aggravation he be causing. Please get your Hollywood bag and leave us alone." Regardless of his place of power and position, the comedian responded by saying, "The he's not funny slander is the best. This is for you. I have 3 stand-up comedy specials that fall in the top 10 highest-grossing comedy specials of all time. 2 of my specials are in the top 3 of all time." And for good measure, Hart added, "I rarely talk, but I felt the need to today. Stop believing these headlines and read the actual articles. You guys fall for the banana in the tailpipe trick every damn time." Hart came with the same energy in a Clubhouse room titled "Is Kevin Hart Funny?", where he spent 15 minutes defending his latest comedy special, Zero Given. To some, Jerry Lewis is the godfather of modern comedy. Born in New Jersey in the late 20s, the actor and director was one of the first comics with an unrestrained style, making him one of the most popular performers of the 1950s and 60s. He'd eventually team up with Dean Martin to create one of the best comedic duos of all time before their public falling out. Lewis, who died at 91, was even known to host lengthy telethon fundraisers to aid the Muscular Dystrophy Association, but few are aware of his secret side. Often referred to as the Dark Prince of comedy, there was more than what meets the eye with Lewis. The Sun reports that the comedian was accused of being cruel and abusive by his youngest son, Joseph, who once told newspapers that Lewis physically and mentally abused all his kids on a routine basis. And his charity work, even though he helped raise over $2 billion, The Sun reports that Lewis once faced angry parents and children in wheelchairs demanding to know where the charity money was being spent. Actor Elliot Gould echoed the same sentiment. The Sun reports Gould once said, "He blatantly tells you on network TV that he is the epitome of the socially conscious man, a great humanitarian. Actually, he's one of the most hostile and unpleasant guys I've ever seen." Tom Segura is a stand-up comedian known for his Netflix specials and commentary as co-host of the podcast Your Mom's House. He also has talked about some of his prejudices in his comedy, like his bit on Down syndrome, for example. Only a couple of minutes into his 2018 special Disgraceful, the comedian makes an observation about words for mental disabilities that people shouldn't use anymore. But he says one could get away with insulting someone's intelligence by saying,
"Now you gotta be like, that's not smart. Your idea has an extra 21st chromosome, if you ask me."
The joke's reference to Down syndrome was so offensive that it led people to sign a Change.org petition, urging Netflix to take down the special. It says, "This petition calls for Netflix to remove the anti-Down syndrome rhetoric from the show, take the anti-disability sketch out of the trailer for the show, and issue a public apology for perpetuating hate speech and stereotype to the Down syndrome community." The late, great Joan Rivers was someone you either loved or hated. While a pioneer as the first female late-night talk show host, the so-called Queen of Mean was also openly controversial. She would constantly take shots at celebrities on her Emmy-winning daytime talk show, The Joan Rivers Show with Joan Rivers, and on Fashion Police on E! The writer, producer, and television host's brash style also managed to follow her off the stage. In 2013, the writers of Fashion Police went on strike under claims of unbearable working conditions and abuse. She also doubled down on a Helen Keller deaf joke, despite people being sensitive to the topic. The joke went, "Ugh, I hate children. The only child that I think I would have liked ever was Helen Keller because she didn't talk." When someone piped up about having a deaf son, Rivers responded, "Comedy is to make everybody laugh at everything and deal with things, you idiot. My mother is deaf, you stupid son of a don't tell me." Jerry Seinfeld has always played roles that showcase him in a favorable light. Whether it's his affable Seinfeld character, his role in B-Movie, or his stand-up, which by industry standards is relatively clean, he seems approachable, but looks can be deceiving. In a 2015 interview with Anthony Mason of CBS Sunday Morning, Seinfeld spoke about public perception, admitting that civility is part of his job. But he also then listed a number of rules about what fans shouldn't do, saying,
"Don't touch me." Nobody feels good having a total stranger touch them.
Seinfeld said a fan once approached him to tell him that he seemed to hate everybody, and when asked why someone would think that, Seinfeld said, "People have gotten a little bit more of a sense of my personality being a little cranky, a little prickly perhaps, than what you can sense from the sitcom." Seinfeld went on to say he would describe himself as a bit cranky and doesn't mind being perceived as such. Dealing with hecklers is an opportunity for a comedian to showcase their abilities. Late English magician Paul Daniels, who hosted the highly popular The Paul Daniels Magic Show on the BBC, once famously said, "I don't get many hecklers now, but answering them is an art form in itself." Then there's comedian George Lopez. While known for his self-titled ABC sitcom, the comedian has also been under fire for how he's handled fans, as well as a history of racist jokes. One time, he tossed a black woman from his show in Phoenix after assuming she was heckling. In the video captured by TMZ, Lopez said, "There are only 2 rules in the Latino family: don't marry somebody black and don't park in front of our house." The woman stood up to react, only to catch Lopez's ire. The comedian said, "I'm talking, you paid to see a show, sit your ass down." The woman's friend, Juan Quesada, explained, at first she wanted to be part of the joke because he's her favorite comedian, but then it just went 180. Michael Che has a lot going on. The Saturday Night Live mainstay has made a name for himself co-anchoring Weekend Update with Colin Jost. He's also released 2 stand-up specials, Michael Che Matters and Shame the Devil, and has even hosted the Emmys. Che has also built a track record of responding poorly to criticism, often clapping back on social media. Like when he berated Twitter follower Jack Allison in 2020 over his comments about questionable clauses in the SNL writer's submission form. The aspiring comedic writer wrote in the outline, "After our first day of back and forth, I thought I wouldn't hear from Che again. I was very, very wrong. I would be going going about my day-to-day life before suddenly receiving a deluge of messages from people warning me that I was once again in the SNL head writer's crosshairs. Allison says Che's not only gone after him, but others as well, including Stephen Hayden, a critic for Uproxx who wrote a piece titled "Why Does Everyone Still Hate SNL's Colin Jost?", which also ruffled Che's feathers. Hayden told Allison, "Che apparently didn't like the column and he decided to mock me on his Instagram. He called me a mediocre-ass white dude." In the early to mid-2010s, Amy Schumer was inescapable. She appeared on NBC's Last Comic Standing, created and starred in the Comedy Central sketch comedy series Inside Amy Schumer, and starred in her own Hollywood film Trainwreck. You see less of her now, and maybe there's a reason. At the height of her fame in 2015, the Portland Press-Herald reported that fans at a show complained about paying over $80 and only seeing her for 45 minutes. Schumer blamed the venue, saying they cut her first set short to make time for the second audience, and that it was a rookie mistake. Similarly, Schumer has been accused of stealing jokes, posting racist tweets, and playing what observers called the famous card with someone who didn't know who she was. If you or someone you know may be the victim of child abuse, please contact the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD, 1-800-422-4453, or contact their live chat services.
Fans love movie stars for their natural charisma, iconic performances, and stunning good looks. But movie stars don't always love them back. Just ask the acting legend who once told a fan he'd make him eat his phone. Curious? Keep watching to find out more. Christian Bale's movie career launched when he was just a teen, thanks to such choice gigs as Empire of the Sun and Newsies. But it wasn't until 2005 that the actor would receive the role of a lifetime and gain a huge fan base to boot. Bale was cast as Bruce Wayne and Batman in director Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. He later reprised the role in two more films, 2008's The Dark Knight and 2012's The Dark Knight Rises. In 2020, Bale was voted by fans as the actor who gave the best performance of Batman in a poll by Radio Times. According to the outlet, he earned over 40% of the tallies. Although it's clear that fans loved seeing Bale fight crime in Gotham City, rumor has it he isn't always friendly back. In 2012, Bale's former publicist and assistant Harrison Chung released a juicy biography titled Christian Bale, The Inside Story of the Darkest Batman. In his book, Chung claimed that when Bale received a letter from a fan, he told Chung that the fan needed to be eliminated, adding, "A screwdriver thrust through the eyeball into the brain prevents any screaming. Let me know how it goes." Chung also alleged that Bale had no problems with upsetting strangers, stating that he would give lectures to young fans about being rude and intrusive until they cried. After reporting on these allegations, HuffPost reached out to Bale's team for comment, but apparently never heard back. Celebrities and paparazzi don't always mix well. In the past, big-name stars have grabbed cameras out of a pap's hands, flipped them off, and even tried to attack them. Some stars, however, go even further, confronting and insulting ordinary fans who take photos of them without their permission. Take Sean Penn, for example. According to TMZ, in 2013, a fan spotted Penn at the St. Regis Hotel in San Francisco and tried to take a photo of the star. This didn't go over well. A witness claimed that Penn grabbed the phone out of the man's hand and threw it to the ground and yelled, "I'll make you eat the phone. Get the f*** out of here." In 2020, Penn opened up about his temper after Howard Stern asked him to clarify his 2009 Oscars acceptance speech, in which he claimed he makes it hard for people to appreciate him. Penn told Stern,
"I sometimes think that, I have a great love affair with humanity, but not too good about humans."
Personal boundaries are no laughing matter, but neither is summoning a legion of ruthless internet trolls to do your bidding. In 2016, Amy Schumer called out a fan on Instagram after he frightened her while visiting Greenville, South Carolina. She posted a photo of him on her social media page and wrote, "Put a camera in my face. I asked him to stop and he said, 'No, it's America and we paid for you.' This was in front of his daughter." Schumer also noted that she would no longer be taking photos with her fans as a result of this incident. The fan later told TMZ that her post led to people making threats against him and his family. He shared some of the comments that Schumer's post had inspired, including, "Shoot him in the face," and "If we see him, we will jump him for you." He also claimed that Schumer ran back towards him after the encounter, took the photo of him, and allegedly said, "Good, I have 4 million followers that's going to bash you and show what a you really are." Schumer later posted on her Instagram, "I am grateful to the people who like my work and support me, but not the ones who think that behavior is okay." She also took to Twitter to clarify her statement about taking photos with fans, claiming that she will only do so with what she called nice people. Cameron Diaz rose to fame after starring alongside Jim Carrey in 1994's The Mask, and became a household name thanks to a number of leading roles throughout the 90s and early 2000s. And while Diaz has doubtless acquired a great number of fans over the years, rumor has it the star isn't keen on meeting them. In 2013, Autograph magazine included Diaz on their list of the worst celebrities when it comes to signing autographs. Evidently, this had been a thing for years even then. The editor of that same outlet told the Chicago Tribune in 2006 that Diaz is, in his words, persistently a terrible signer. He went on to claim, "Instead of just turning down a person's autograph request, she'll lecture them about how dumb autographs are." The ups and downs of stardom are no joke, of course, and in 2018, Diaz shared with Entertainment Weekly that she had finally retired from acting. In a 2020 Goop video, she told Gwyneth Paltrow that she felt peace after she stepped away from her career.
I got a peace in my soul, because I finally was taking care of myself.
Thanks to the world of fan conventions, people can shell out money to meet celebrities, take photographs, and get memorabilia signed. However, fans of Gwyneth Paltrow had some unpleasant things to say after a Goop Wellness Summit found the star barely connecting with her fans. Fans who had paid around $6,000 to hang out with her. According to Page 6, attendees were charged a huge sum to attend a 2019 In Goop Health event in London, where they felt that Paltrow did the bare minimum to interact with them. Soon after, one fan even claimed that the star was, in his words, a pretentious extortionist. The event was to feature Paltrow hosting fireside chats and working out with celebrity trainer Tracy Anderson. But fans felt that it wasn't enough, adding that the star had security around her at all times. Paltrow also ruffled feathers with fans in 2014 when she implied to E! That balancing motherhood and an acting career is more difficult than balancing motherhood and a regular job. It's probably fair to say that this remark was not received well. One commenter for the New York Post said, "Last time I checked, a movie wraps up, while I look forward to decades worth of routines and hard work. I have it so easy." Paltrow later addressed the backlash on Goop, maintaining that her statement was taken out of context. Chris Pratt went from being funny man Andy Dwyer in NBC's Parks and Recreation to a leading Hollywood star in Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic World. In the years since, Pratt has become one busy actor, but while he may adore his fans, he has one minor demand whenever they approach him. In an interview with Cigar Aficionado in 2017, Pratt revealed that he isn't into snapping selfies with fans because time is precious. He said, "I've always been a pretty deferential, go-with-the-flow guy, but now I have to be economical with my time. If I go out and want to do normal things, I have to be comfortable disappointing people. So I just don't take pictures with people, because that's not about enjoying the moment. It's about stealing the moment to brag about later." When he does get asked for a photo, Pratt said he would rather ask his fans if they would settle for a handshake. Alas, he claimed, people usually take the picture anyway. While not one to pose for a photo, Pratt did spark controversy when he began offering autographed photos for a whopping $350. The actor shared a link on his Instagram account that went to a site selling Pratt's John Hancock on merchandise from his most popular films. However, fans were shocked at the price tag, complaining at the time that it was way too much money to ask. Privacy is hard to come by if you're an A-list star like Jennifer Lawrence, but she herself has made it clear that she will do whatever it takes to maintain that privacy, even if it means letting fans down. During an interview with Adam Sandler for Variety's Actors on Actors segment, Lawrence, who gained a huge fan base after starring in the Hunger Games series, shared that she isn't exactly nice to people when she's out and about.
Once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. I turn into a huge
Lawrence shared, adding that this is her way of defending herself, and noted that she'll usually say no to a fan if they ask for a selfie. This isn't the first time Lawrence has talked about avoiding her fans, however. She once told the Daily Telegraph, "I think that people, strangers, think that we are already friends because I am famous, and they feel like they already know me, but I don't know them. I have to protect my bubble, like I have a weird job. Don't let this be a reality." Chevy Chase has been famously difficult to work with for many years. In a 2012 article published by Gawker titled A History of Chevy Chase's Horrific Behavior sure didn't help his reputation. The piece offered a roundup of his former colleagues' accounts of working with him on various shows, painting a grim picture of his stints on Saturday Night Live and Community. It also sounds like Chase isn't particularly approachable when it comes to meeting people who look up to him. Actor Rob Hubel told Seth Meyers on Late Night that the actor and comedian once slapped him across the face for interrupting him. The two apparently met when Chase was a guest performer in Hubel's improv group's show back in the 2000s. Hubel then approached Chase to tell him he's a big fan, and then this happened.
And Chevy just hauled off and slapped me across the face so hard. I mean, it was like...
Chase evidently made a joke about not butting into his conversation. As Hubel later told New York Magazine, he wasn't trying to be mean, he was trying to be funny. It was a bummer only because I was such a huge fan. When New York Magazine asked Chase himself about the incident, he said, "It's a faint memory, but I know it was done in good humor." If there's one Hollywood star you should never approach for a photo or an autograph, it's William Shatner. In 2018, the famed Star Trek actor took to Twitter to address an autograph policy that rubbed some of his fans the wrong way. According to The Hollywood Reporter, fans called Shatner rude when he tweeted that he wouldn't sign autographs unless he was attending a convention. He wrote, "If I'm out and about with family or waiting for a plane and I do for one, an instant line of 50 forms. So if I say no to number 1 or number 21, it's the same. I'm a jerk. So to save time, the answer is no. There's a time and place for everything, and conventions are that place." Shatner continued, "I'm supposed to care about the people who sneak up behind me to have someone grab a photo, who interrupt my private times enjoying my grandchildren, who bother me in the restrooms, and who even interrupt my calling my wife at the airport in order to request a photo or autograph?" Shatner has long been known for his complicated relationship with his Trekkie fans. In a 1986 sketch for Saturday Night Live, Shatner poked fun at them while pretending to be at a convention. In the sketch, Shatner said,
"I've spoken to many of you, and some of you have traveled, hundreds of miles to be here. I'd just like to say, get a life, will you, people?"
Think working for a star means you get some perks too? Find out which celeb doesn't let you make eye contact and who won't let you use her real name while addressing her. Queen Bee is massively successful for a reason. She brings her work home with her. Literally. A former nanny for Beyoncé and Jay-Z was reportedly told to learn the full choreography to Single Ladies. While some of us might have already done this voluntarily, according to Star, it was all just to keep little Blue Ivy happy. An insider alleged seeing her mom sing and dance to the song was the only thing that settled her down.
Nothing feels like my child saying, "Mommy."
Maybe this says something about Beyoncé's work-life balance. She's clearly so dedicated that Blue supposedly got used to falling asleep to her mama's songs. Let's just hope that stopped before Lemonade, or Jay-Z might have some explaining to do. Kourtney Kardashian might come off as one of the more level-headed Kardashian-Jenner sisters, but apparently she's not much different than Lord Disick. Star reported that a nanny who once worked for the reality star wasn't allowed to call Kourt by her first name. Instead, the source alleged, "She asked me to call her madam at all times."
We don't all have to do things the same way.
Unfortunately for the nanny, she accidentally went with the wrong moniker one day and had to deal with the consequences. She confessed, "I once slipped up and called her Kourtney, and she threw a hissy fit. I never made that mistake again."
I was like, really?
If Kourtney must be referred to only as madam, we can only imagine what Sister Kim forces her staff to call her. Charlize Theron is an award-winning actor, but a former staff member revealed just how strange the Oscar winner can be behind closed doors. The source told Star that she wasn't allowed to speak or look at Theron.
Shut up! I have a reputation.
As the star's assistant and nanny, the insider was reportedly forbidden to strike up a convo with Theron, even if it was about her kids. If she had any questions, she was supposed to write them in a diary. As this former nanny put it, quote, "It was odd." Meghan Markle is a polarizing figure on both sides of the pond. Her bombshell Oprah interview didn't exactly boost her popularity in the UK. And the reports about her berating staff members didn't help. Vanity Fair royal reporter Katie Nicholl told Yahoo UK that Markle was allegedly so rude to staff during an incident at Windsor Castle that Queen Elizabeth had to step in. At that time, Markle was tasting food for her upcoming wedding. She reportedly got edgy when she thought there was egg in the dish when there wasn't. Nicole claimed, "She said, 'No, I can taste it. I can taste there's egg in this dish.' The queen walked in and she just quietly took Meghan to the side and said, 'Meghan, in this family, we don't speak to people like that.'"
It made me cry, and it really hurt my feelings.
But this alleged incident was supposedly par for the course. According to The Sun, Markle reportedly lost it in front of a personal assistant when the blankets she ordered for a party at Sandringham weren't the right color of red. According to The Times, almost half of their staff nearly walked out because of Harry and Meghan's alleged behavior. If there was a whiff that Ellen DeGeneres was anything but her happy-go-lucky on-screen persona, it was probably the time she nearly made Taylor Swift cry on the show. But in 2020, DeGeneres was put in the hot seat over alleged employee mistreatment. According to Variety, DeGeneres left her staffers in the dark during the COVID-19 pandemic. Union crew allegedly faced a 60% pay cut as she used a skeleton non-union crew to film from her home. Meanwhile, other talk show hosts like Jimmy Kimmel paid their staff in full, even using out-of-pocket funds. With a reported $500 million net worth, DeGeneres probably could have done the same, but it gets even worse from there.
And that was it.
According to BuzzFeed, DeGeneres allegedly fostered a toxic environment on set. Employees were reportedly banned from talking to the host in the office, and anyone who took medical or bereavement leave was supposedly fired or not offered a renewed contract. There was so much bad press, it actually triggered a workplace investigation. As Newsweek noted, The Ellen DeGeneres Show has since been canceled with its 19-season run ending in 2022. If you could own the concept of throwing shade, Mariah Carey would have the patent. Vogue dubbed her the, quote, "Queen of Throwing Shade" in 2016. But there's a difference between being difficult and being downright abusive.
I'm putting these on because I need a key light and you're not giving me one.
Carey's personal assistant, Liana Shakhnazarian, filed a lawsuit against the singer in 2019. According to Rolling Stone, she was subjected to sexual battery and harassment during her approximately 2 years of employment before being wrongfully terminated by the singer in 2017. For a salary of $250,000, Shakhnazarian was expected to be on call 24/7. And that was for both Carey and her former manager, Stella Balachnikov, who was allegedly verbally and physically abusive. According to the lawsuit, she was repeatedly ridiculing her about her breasts by putting iPhones, remote controls, and utensils under them. She alleges that Balachnikov slapped her buttocks and breast and called her an Armenian. As for Carey, people reported that she sued Shakhnazarian, alleging of her former assistant, she turned out to be a grifter, a peeping Thomasina, and an extortionist. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673.